Between recording, practicing, and making videos, I went through a lot of gear this year. These are the 5 pieces that didn't just photograph well, they actually got used. Each year, guitarists spend a lot of money on gear, and I'm definitely no exception. So I figured I'd put together 5 of my favorite pieces that I picked up this year. Not necessarily the newest and flashiest stuff, but the gear I kept coming back to this year. Some of these I've already done videos on, and a couple I haven't done videos yet. Before we go any further, though, just to be clear, everything in this video was paid for with my own money. This is not a sponsored video in any way. And real quick, if you like this channel, please hit the subscribe button and click on the bell icon so you don't miss any future videos. I've noted that over 95% of the people watching aren't subscribed, and subscribing really helps make sure these videos actually show up in your feed. All right, let's get to it. Actually, we're going to start with an honorable mention. This is my 2022 ES-335. I picked this up just after Thanksgiving in 2024, and it has become the guitar I reach for about 90% of the time. You know how guitar YouTubers sometimes get a new guitar, they do a bunch of videos on it, and then it quietly disappears? Well, this one is well past the honeymoon phase. It covers most of my humbucker needs. It feels great, it sounds great, it stays in tune, and it doesn't get in the way of what I'm doing. It's a really solid and a very inspiring instrument. I've already done a video on it. I'll put a link for that in the area below. For number 5, though, let's start the real deal. The MXR Rockman X100 pedal. I did a video on this when it first came out, and I'll put a link for that below as well. It absolutely does the Rockman thing. And when it comes to tracking clean guitars, it's really made things very easy for me. The drive tones are solid, especially the edge setting, but I found the distortion mode can be a bit much for me in a lot of situations that I'm ending up in. I'm currently on the hunt for a foot switch that lets me jump between the modes, so I don't have to scroll through all the different settings. Once I get that sorted out, I could easily see myself using that pedal in a live setting. Number 4, Seymour Duncan Psyclone pickups. I've got those in my Epiphone ES-335. These are often described as being Gretsch-like, but they're not really what I personally think of as a Gretsch sound. That might just be my perception. That being said, I absolutely love how they sound. They sit somewhere between a PAF and a single coil, and since they're in my Epiphone ES-335, they nicely complement my Gibson 335 when I kind of want a little more chime and clarity. I've got a video on those as well, and I'll put that below. All right, number 3. Well, this one's a two-parter. It's the JHS Color Box and JHS 424 gain stage. I ordered the Color Box during JHS's Black Friday sale in November of 2024, and even though it didn't arrive until January, getting it at 25% off made it worth the wait. I want a solid preamp that I could really use for a D-high, for guitars and bass, and even in vocals. It's been great overall. I won't go into a deep dive in it here yet. The Color Box is an Eve-inspired preamp pedal. The 424 gain stage is based on the Tascam 424. I picked up the 424 specifically to pair with my Rockman, since it really makes it very easy to sculpt additional EQ without messing with anything. I'm planning on individual videos on both of these pedals to give them the proper attention for a video. And number 2, all right, one thing I hate is when guitar YouTubers completely leave their lane. I don't need to know anybody's favorite sandwich. That being said, hear me out. I picked up this device here. It is the Telepathic Instruments Orchid. All right, again, hear me out. Yes, this is a keyboard, but it's more like a mini kind of creative workstation. It's a 1-octave keyboard. The buttons over here on the side, they generate chord voicings, so you don't really need to know any like keyboard chords or theory. It kind of works like an omnichord in that sense. It has synth and piano-like sounds, arpeggio functions. I'm not going to get into the weeds on this. But once this started popping up in my algorithm, this really caught my attention. It was kind of hard to get, and honestly, a bit more expensive out of my comfort zone for something that I'm not really that versed in, but I took a leap, and I have found it incredibly useful for songwriting and breaking out of ruts because it gets me out of fretboard patterns and kind of some new musical territory. All right, back to guitar stuff though. The Walrus Audio QI Ethereal Delay. I was intrigued by this as soon as I started seeing demos of this pop up. Initially, I thought it would kind of be a strictly ambient thing, but I brought it to a band practice, and it blended really well with everything else that was going on in the room. It works in a band context, not kind of in that like Spinal Tap 2 of Nigel Tufnell basically bringing a rehearsal to a halt because he's trying out a new pedal. I've also found, though, that when just kind of like turning this pedal on and kind of noodling and it kind of turns that simple noodling into something musical. It almost is like playing against the soundscape that you're creating. It kind of gets me into that creative zone, and it even works kind of like as a warm-up before getting into more focused playing or recording. I've got a video on that as well, and it's in the link below there too. Anyways, those are the 5 pieces of gear that made 2025 a great year for me. I picked up a lot of pedals this year, but I didn't want it to just be a pedal video. I'll be covering more of those and some other gear in upcoming videos, but I want to hear from you guys. What did you get in 2025 that really made your year? Drop a comment in the area below. I'd love to hear from you. Anyways, that's it. Take care, and I'll see you soon.